Alright guys, here's another video of some interesting old stuff. Let's head into here. These are our fresh air dampers. To give you an idea of how big they are, I'm 6 feet tall and I'm looking straight across. So this is a reasonable sized unit with Wilson joists inside of it. These are our return air dampers. Power exhaust fan is down to the right. Looking through there, you can see the relief air dampers. And all three of these dampers will kind of operate as one, and the return air will act as power exhaust to maintain building static pressure as this goes into free cooling mode. So I'm here to do the PM. Here's our filter rack. Looks like we got 24 by 24 by 2 medias. Come back outside here. So that's where we just came from. Pop into our next section here. You can see all our media. It's again the ceiling. Here's the coil. It's about 8 foot by 10, 11 foot wide. 8 foot high by 10, 11 foot wide. There's our freestat, or return air, mixed air temperature sensor. I'll have some safeties on that. Used to be a freestat, and they've changed it now that it's on DDC control. Here's the next section. So here we can see we have DX coils in the back, and then hot water coils in the front. Let's see here. Yeah, the building's not calling for that much heat, so there's not that much flow through the hot water coils. So there's our well, it's basically discharge air temperature. Taking a reading there. Let's see, so here's our big backwards inclined fan. Big pulley. Here, I'll give you guys an idea of the size of the pulley. There's our motor down here. It's running off of VFD. We just had that VFD replaced, and it had a fault. It wouldn't let it run above about 34 hertz. It would go off on over voltage, which is kind of an odd fault. Normally you'll get over voltage on a deceleration with a heavy load, because that motor will act like an alternator and feed power back onto the DC bus of the VFD. Oh, let's take a look around the back side here. Oh, good, and there's the guard that's supposed to be on it. Good, good. Ooh, this is a pretty bearing, isn't it? I love this old stuff. It's just built bigger than it needs to be so it'll last forever. They don't build it like they used to. Big trays all full of rust. Should probably be cleaned out. I'll put a recommendation in and we'll see how quick that gets disapproved. Keen viewers will recognize this. Let's get this thing to focus properly. I recognize this big monster. Those condenser fans are about 4.5 feet in diameter, 4 feet. And they're belt drive from the motor. And if I remember right, this thing could use a washing. If it'll stand up to a washing. Yeah, I'll take a peek. There's insulation laying around here. It's been, when this was originally constructed, there wasn't any residential towers around, so this was just out in the open. But then I guess people would complain about the noise, so they've scabbed this wall here on with some fiberglass insulation that's proceeded to break down over the years. So that's fun. Here's a fun little stub here. This is the suction line. It's got a fun little stub sticking up. There's the liquid line with the sight glass, and the uninsulated line is our hot gas line. Look at that, proper rigid conduit. Not EMT, proper rigid threaded conduit feeding power into this unit. So if we take a look in here, we've got our little air compressor. Got our DDC controls sitting up there. It's reliable controls with some Mach 2 boards. Here's our boiler. It's super hot. They're made locally here. Generally this boiler doesn't really give us problems. Works really good. This is our discharge air out of the unit. Discharges, goes down. And over there is the direct drive return air fan. There's our expansion tank that's full of water. I gotta drain that and pressurize it today. And over there sits the VFDs. The right one's the supply air fan. That's just been replaced. And up above it, in case anyone's wondering, those are load reactors. Yeah, not much else to say. All in all, it's a fairly decent old building. Funny story about this. This bearing assembly here had been leaking for years, and the previous management refused to spend the money to replace that. So instead, they put this assembly here around, sealed it around the pipe, put the garden hose on it, and ran it to the drain. So it's kind of one of the things our hands are kind of tied when it comes to what we suggest and what gets approved. It all goes by money, right? We can't afford to be working for free, so it'd be nice to have stuff paid for so it can work properly. Oh well. Anyways, quick tour of this site. Almost forgot. We have a de-superheating valve up here. The suction line comes out of the DX coil. Heads down and back to give it enough time to flash off all that gas before it heads back out the door. Down and over to the unit. There's a solenoid to control the de-superheating valve. And right there we have our hot gas regulator. And up there we have the actuator for the three-way mixing valve that controls how much hot water goes into the reheat coil. We've got a magnet helic over here to tell us when our filters are plugged, and that's monitored by the DDC system. Yeah, good. I think that's about it. A huge suction filter dryer here. Plenty of capacity there. Alright guys, enjoy.